As Turul ignited the torch within the tunnel's confines, the flame sputtered to life, casting an orange glow against the grimy walls. The light revealed a narrow corridor, carved by years of neglect. Its purpose as a drainage sewer, evidenced by the foul miasma that immediately assailed his senses. The air was thick with the stench of decay that had made this passage a refuge for vermin, and a place avoided by man. Yet, there stood a solitary figure, undeterred. The handsome face, usually a mask of concentration and resolve, now contorted in brief moments of disgust, as he navigated the muck and debris that littered his path. The leather vest and trousers clung to his powerful form, practical for combat, now stained from the dank environment, and shielded him as much as possible from the filth underfoot. He moved with careful precision, his boots splashing softly in the unseen puddles that dotted the uneven ground. With the torch held aloft, its flame wrestled with the thick air, casting a rebellious light that seemed to struggle against the darkness that wished to devour it. The shadows loomed and danced with the flickering of the flame, playing tricks on the eyes and mind. The oppressive environment did little to dampen his spirit. It was merely another obstacle to overcome. This underground channel, a hidden vein, running beneath the fortress of King Rose, was the lifeline to his imprisoned comrades. And no amount of filth or stench could turn him from his self-appointed quest. Every step Turul took brought him closer to the dungeons, closer to danger, but also closer to the faintest hope of a daring rescue. The young rebel crouched low to navigate the constricted space, where the ceiling dipped perilously close. The rough-hewn timber that supported the earth, a scant barrier from the world above. The narrow confines forced him into a primal posture, his muscles coiled like a spring, ready to react at the slightest hint of danger. Each movement was deliberate, a dance with the darkness that could conceal threats as deadly as any enemy. The sounds of his cautious progress were joined by the distant, ever-present drip of moisture, and the soft, unnerving echoes of movement that were not his own, the unseen inhabitants of the tunnel that scurried just beyond the reach of the light. The squeak of rodent chatter punctuated the stillness, a stark reminder of the life that thrived in the underworld of the castle. As Turul advanced, his free hand, occasionally touching the damp floor for guidance, came away slick, a testament to the unpleasant task at hand. His every step was a trial, not merely against the muck that sucked at his boots, but against the revulsion that clawed at his senses. He was an eagle, soaring the open skies, not a rat, skulking in the earth's underbelly. Yet, driven by purpose, he descended into the inky abyss. An eagle, forced to stalk through shadow, all to shatter the chains binding his brethren within Rose's fortress. Suddenly, a slick, serpentine form slid across the path before him. The torchlight reflected off the glossy scales of a snake, slithering away into the shadows. The savior exhaled a soft sigh that barely stirred the stagnant air, and proceeded, knowing full well the dangers hidden in the darkness were not just of steel and arrow. This was a realm of tooth and venom, and he had traversed it with the same courage he brought to the battlefield. In the stifling confines, the brave hero cursed his fortune, moving forward with a grimace as the heat pressed against him from all sides.
Only a fool will choose this,
he thought, his hands and knees scraping against the unforgiving ground. The passage, once tall enough to walk through, now constricted like the throat of some great beast. His back was a hair's breadth from the jagged ceiling, a constant threat to his composure. Sweat streamed down his temples, staining his skin with the filth of the earth he traversed. Every inch forward was earned by sheer will and the strength in his sinewy arms. Each tug ahead was a declaration of the dire need of his mission. The heat was a smothering blanket, the moisture on the stones a sheen that threatened to unseat his grasp and send him sprawling. But Turul was not deterred, not for his own sake, but for those who awaited him, for the promise of liberation. Emerging from the suffocating constriction, the sinewy fighter stretched to his full height, with a silent sigh of relief. The ground beneath him began to slope gently downwards, hinting at the hidden depths of the earth as he descended. This subtle incline afforded him more room, a gradual invitation to the space that awaited him. With the torch held high, he pressed onward. The fate of his friends all hinged upon the stealth of his approach, and the courage that thrummed like a drum within his chest. Finally, Turul found himself before the expanse of a water channel. He lifted his torch, the flames casting a quivering light that turned the waterway before him into a corridor of impenetrable blacks. A quiet gratitude for Parduk wove through his thoughts. That villager, once ensnared by the king's ruthless reign, had risked everything to share the knowledge of this secret conduit. Now, as Papaduk's whispered revelations, this channel promised to lead right to the bowels of the dungeon.